What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin. Today's episode, let's talk about Stop Killing Games, the largest campaign ever to stop publishers destroying games. Before we just ask the publishers to fix themselves, maybe we should start the largest campaign ever to stop gamers from destroying games. That's not even my opinion. That's a fact.
Why isn't it in the fucking game without a pre-order? You blind? Stupid fucking fanboyism.
Microtransactions and
DRM.
Downloadable content.
That's right, gamers. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a little bit, okay? But if you think I'm just gonna, be jumping on that Ubisoft dick and defending it, well, you don't know this channel. So, with that being said, I'm also not afraid to call out gamer hypocrisy. November 24, 2014, can we go offline? I was in a closed beta for the PC while I was driving. I think I lost connection and stopped watching people drive in the world. I would like to know if we can go full offline. Now, you and I know, obviously you can't, because this game was marketed as an online game. And the irony of this, and this is something that I want you to think about, is why should Ubisoft care about this? My mouse is hovering over this gentleman on the screen, when gamers didn't in the first place. And the reason being is because here we are right here. What bugs me about always online is about what are we supposed to do when Ubisoft decides to pull the plug of the servers. So gamers knew that this was a thing. We've always known this. People have been saying this since you could rent games on Steam, Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo, Epic Games Store, because that's objectively what you're doing. You're not purchasing a game to own, you're purchasing a digital item to rent. That's the truth of the matter. So we've known about this. In fact, my way of thinking is that if I was the corporate dick at Ubisoft, I'd be talking to my lawyer about this, because I'm like, well, gamers already know that this was a thing, that this could happen. I mean, I guarantee you if I looked on the internet like a human being could, they'd find gamers literally admitting that they knew this would happen. And yet, what did those gamers do? They played the game. So why should Ubisoft care? And this is why, this idea is good at face value, but we have to change ourselves before we can try to change the goddamn industry, because we've done so much damage to the gaming industry, probably more so than the publishers and the developers themselves. It comes down to the iteration of why they should even listen to us in the first place if they know our basic agenda. Bitch, moan, cry, pay, and then play the game. You doubt me on this. I know. Well, let's jump down this rabbit hole, because ironically, outside of this, there's nobody really negative. I'm not going to buy it. Fuck that. That's bullshit. No, people bought it. They played it. There's a reason why they made The Crew 2. Because it was successful, ladies and gentlemen. Gamers spoke with their wallet, and now what has happened is it turned around and it's biting them in the ass. And this is something that I've always said on this channel when it comes to day one updates, microtransactions. People don't like it until it directly affects them. And then they get mad. And then they get pissy. And then it's like, well, thank you for joining the fucking party. Now you know what I've been saying for these last 12, 15 fucking years on this channel. It's quite redundant. It's quite ridiculous. But it's the nature of the beast. We jump down. Again, Ubisoft's next-gen racing game is always online. They explain why. June 10, 2013. So people knew it even before the game came out. And nobody made a ruckus. And they played the game. They bought the game. They loved the game. They enjoyed the game. In fact, if we look at another company roughly around the same time as this right here, June 10th, 13th, Electronic Arts got into some controversy that same year for The SimCity. That single-player game had, always online, DRM, baby. But yet, gamers got them to reverse it. And you can sit here and you can say, well, the difference here is that The Crew was advertised as an always online game. I say, yeah, you're right. But gamers also knew that it had a single-player campaign that was still required you to be online. And what did gamers do? Did they complain about it? No. They played the game. Why should they listen to your words now when all you did was feed them money to begin with? When The Crew 2 came out with the same spiel, the same song and dance as the previous game, you gave them your money. You see, you want to sit here and believe that they somehow, listen to bitching and moaning, and sometimes they do. We get the occasional win. But majority of the time, they're listening to your money because that speaks louder. Your actions speak louder than your words. But let's jump down again. All right, the crew is broken but packed with potential connectivity issues, and a poor story don't quite obscure the magnificent of Ivory Tower's world. December 3rd, 2014. 7 years ago. So why exactly is the crew online? Now, it's ultimately irrelevant what most people are saying, what they're discussing, what they're talking about. The point that I'm trying to get is that nobody was really complaining about this in any facet that thereof, with the exception that you might have somebody actually mention it. Same reason The Division and Assassin's Creed is only online, so Ubisoft can kill the game someday and be a bitch to play, which ironically goes against the very ideology of this, which is game preservation in general. And yet, what do gamers do? We accept day one updates, which goes against game preservation. We take issues with microtransactions and DLC, but that goes against game preservation. This is an art form that is sold to us incomplete and unfinished, and we willfully accept that. We've been accepting it. It's kind of ironic and hypocritical when you see somebody on YouTube talking about how Nintendo, they don't like game preservation. I sit there, well, you know what? Maybe you should ask a gamer for a beer or something, because there's no bigger group of people that is screwing gaming preservation over than the gamers themselves. Because our actions, money, is the only thing these companies are hearing. And thus, we ourselves have contributed to this very facet of damaging the preservation of gaming. So much to the point that we knew that the crew and games like it would at some point be unplayable. In fact, most people that rent some kind of game, be it Steam, PlayStation, etc., know that there's the possibility that they could lose access to that rental. But we still do it anyway. It's the nature of the beast. So here's another game, Mortal Kombat 11. It also had story mode DRM. And yet, there's just a lot of people playing and enjoying the game, which is kind of ironic because, you know, we vitriolized Electronic Arts for doing this. And then we gave Warner Brothers a pass. We gave Ubisoft a pass, not even once, multiple times. That Avatar Pandora game, you had to literally be online to download and install the actual game. It's literally an example of it not all being on the disc. You were sold an incomplete product. People still went and bought that game. That's literally telling Ubisoft, this is okay, we like this. What do they plan on doing? Yeah, that's right. Outlaw, Star Wars Outlaw is going to be released in the same way. Gamers just as responsible as the publishers and the developers for why this is an issue right here, right now. Well, we could jump over the crew. Physical copy. Literal paperweight. And why is this? Is this because Ubisoft is a greedy son of a bitch? I say yes, but it's more than just that. It's all the idiots, and I'm sorry to say, let's be real. If you're honest, you are pretty much an idiot for playing this game because you became part of the problem. You're the reason why you can't play the game right now. You are your own enemy. But this is the nature of gamers throughout the history of any kind of gaming controversy. DLC, day one updates. People complained. They talked about how this could be detrimental in the far future for gaming. You look at one of asmongold's not so recent videos where he's talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, microtransactions, pay to win, pay to make it easy. Objectively irrelevant that it's not an online game. He's accepting it, he's playing it, he's enjoying it, he's part of the problem. He's adding to the problem. Because time and time again, what gamers don't do is they don't think about their consequences in the long run, in the future, until it turns around and it bites them in the ass. And this is how gamers have been, quote unquote, learning that these things are a problem. Like, I honestly don't believe asmongold does not like microtransactions. I've seen him purchase them in his streams. I don't care what bullshit excuse he can come up with. Your job, at the end of the day, is an excuse. You're just a different kind of whale. You're a whale like Angry Joe. You're a whale just like the people that willfully went and made excuses for Dragon's Dogma 2. You're part of the problem. You're not being part of the solution. All right? This is our fault. Just like microtransactions. Because these companies are listening to our wallets. They don't care about what I say. They don't care about what you say. They don't care about what Osmond says. Well, except maybe when he buys a microtransaction for clout on his streaming, you know. Or Angry Joe decides to buy Madden so he can get some clout for bitching about the microtransactions in it. Even though he had to give Electronic Arts money. He's a different kind of whale. We make so many mistakes as gamers. Before we ask publishers and developers to fix themselves, maybe it's time we fucking fix ourselves.